Hello everybody, it's UXW Bill here again, and what we're going to talk about today is upgrading your Mac Mini to a larger hard drive and migrating your data. This is actually going to be a two-step process. The first thing I'm going to do is migrate the data to a backup file or a disk image file, and then I'm going to show you how to install a new hard drive in your Mac Mini. This is in a way extending my previous video about replacing the hard drive in a Macbook, because I never really talked about how you should migrate the data to the new hard drive. So I'm going to do that. Now there are some things you'll need in order to do this procedure. You'll need Mac OS X installation media, preferably a version that matches the one you have. You will of course need a hard drive, and for a PowerPC Mac Mini this is actually a parallel ATA hard drive. For an Intel-based Mac Mini this is a serial ATA hard drive. In either case, it's a laptop hard drive. You'll need some precision tools, and you'll need a putty knife to open the machine up with. Now, I'm going to start with the actual data backup process, because that's probably the thing that you'll want to do first. To do this, you need, or at least the way I like to do it, you need an external hard drive, and you need to install Mac OS X on that drive. Now, for a PowerPC Macintosh, it basically needs to be a FireWire drive that you use. There are some select few PowerPC Macintoshes that can boot from their onboard USB. This is most notably the late model PowerBooks. However, I've never seen a Mac Mini that will boot from its USB ports. So you need to use a FireWire disk, and that's exactly what I have here. I have a FireWire 800 external hard drive plugged into a FireWire 800 to 400 cable. And now, I'm going to install the Mac OS on that drive. Now, when you want to install the Mac OS on a computer that already has a working copy, the first thing to do is to insert the installation disk, and then elect to restart the computer. The computer will restart shortly afterward, and when it does, you can either hold down the Alt-Option key or the C key during startup to tell the computer to boot from CD, or if you hold down the Alt key, you get a list of things that your Macintosh believes are startable. Choose the Mac OS install disk and click the right-hand facing arrow to continue. When the Mac OS X installer finally comes up, there are a few choices you need to make. Some of these can save you a lot of time. You can basically keep on clicking continue, agree to the license agreement if you are willing to do so, and then you need to choose the disk on which you're going to install Mac OS X. When the installer allows you to choose a disk, choose the disk that you plugged in this case, the FireWire disk, and then continue. Now, if you want to shorten the amount of time it's going to take to install Mac OS X, you can click on Customize, and you can remove some things that really aren't necessary. For example, you probably don't need the printer drivers. You might be able to get away without the additional fonts if you don't have an Oriental language that you speak. And if you speak English as your primary language, or whatever language you speak in your part of the world, you can probably remove the other language translations that don't apply to you. Doing this will considerably slim down the size of the installation and make it happen a little bit faster, which is a nice thing to have if you're a little pressed for time. And then finally you can click Install. If it's been a while since you've installed Mac OS X, go ahead and let the installer check your installation disk to make sure it's still okay. When you have Mac OS X successfully installed, the first thing you should do before you attempt to do anything with your data is to update your software using either the software update command from the Apple menu or by using a web browser to download the latest updaters for your version of the Mac OS and install them yourself. When you finally have all of your software up to date, it's time to take the image of your computer's primary internal hard drive, which is shown up here with an internal hard drive style icon. Disk Utility contains a built-in facility to do this that's very convenient. So launch Disk Utility on your computer when started up from the secondary drive. Click on your primary drive, click on New Image. You'll be asked where to save the image. You could save it in your Documents folder, you could save it on the desktop, you could save it anywhere that you like. Give it a descriptive name, and then choose a type. There are a couple different types of images. You can choose a read-only image, you can choose a compressed image, you can choose a read-write image, or you can choose a DVD-CD master. Really, the best two choices here are read-write or compressed. Compressed images take up less disk space, which can be handy if you're not sure if your hard drive has enough disk space available on it, but it takes time to compress the data. When you've made your selection and chosen the type of disk image format that you want, click on Save. Your primary startup disk will disappear from the desktop, and you may be requested to type your password. The disk image file will then be created. This will take a while depending on how much you have on your computer's internal hard drive. When at long last your data has been transferred, open the disk image file that was created and verify that you can read some of the items that are stored within it. If it appears that you can, it's time to go over to the hardware and start putting the new hard drive into your Mac Mini. When your Mac Mini is turned off, disconnect all the cables from the back of it carefully. Disassembling your Mac Mini is easily done with a putty knife. Just carefully insert the putty knife into the area between the outer case metal and the plastic base, and then gradually insert it and slowly but firmly pry up. As you pry up, you'll see the Mac Mini start to come out of the case. Take your putty knife and gradually work around the body of the machine until the casing starts to pop free on all four corners. Finally, the Mac Mini will be free of its aluminum upper body. You can set the upper shell aside. You can set your Mac Mini tool aside. And now you need to get to the hard drive inside the Mac Mini. Now the way this is done differs between the PowerPC and Intel machines. The Intel machines are actually a little easier to get into compared to the PowerPC ones. But this is where you need your fine, high-quality precision screwdrivers. On either the Intel or PowerPC variants, you can remove the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi antennas if yours is so equipped by simply lifting them off their pedestals. Loosen any tape around the cabling. Remove the memory from the machine. There are a total of 3 screws around the outer circumference of the machine that you need to remove. They're located here, in a recessed well back here, and finally another recessed well back there. This base will then lift up, but there are a couple more things you need to do. You need to very, very carefully undo the connections between the logic board, the power button, and the front panel speaker before you can continue. There's also a connection for the fan. Use extreme caution when removing these because they can break very easily, or you can pull the wires out of the connectors. With the base lifted up, you need to remove the antenna connections for both Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. There are a total of 3 screws holding the cooling fan in, one here, here, and here. Remove them and carefully lift this cooling fan out of the way. Set it aside. Now you can see all 4 of the mounting screws for the hard drive, and you can remove them. 3 of them are no problem. This 4th one might require an angle screwdriver to get it out.